Hello everyone! So first and foremost, I would like to apologize for getting this to you so late. I promise I've been working on it, but I was trying to embed the videos into the PowerPoint, upload it to D2L. It was just not working because there was too many gigabytes from all of the different videos on the different PowerPoint slides. So sorry, but I'll just have to put it as one video and then you can watch it along with the PowerPoint if that helps, or one at a time, just kind of whatever works best for you. So welcome to ESL Methods and Materials. You guys have been working really hard in the course, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to our future class meetings where I get to see everyone. So hopefully get to see more of you all and meet the ones that I haven't met before. I'd like to meet everybody at least once. That would be great. I'll talk in this PowerPoint about some of the introductory concepts about ESL methods and materials, and also I want to talk about some of the decisions that we made as a class during our class meetings about some of the coursework and our future meetings. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. So if you go to the second slide in the PowerPoint, this just is some stuff that's on your syllabus and calendar. So it's things that you already have, but it's got my phone number, email. Phone's probably the best way to contact me. Just leave a voice or a text message and let me know which class you're in and who you are, and I'll make sure to get back to you. There's our book there as well, the Reading, Writing, and Learning in ESL. So hopefully everyone's gotten that by now and is making use of it, because it's really beneficial. It's a lot of really good information, not only on kind of the introductory concepts about working with culturally and linguistically diverse students, but also what does this implementation look like for the classroom, for content areas, for reading. And so it'll be very helpful to you, I think, as well on your ESL supplemental practice exam that you'll take later on in the semester. On this slide, my office hours are there as well. So I'm here most of the time during those hours, but if I'm not, I may be like at a meeting or out in the field. I'm also a university field supervisor for clinical teachers. And so like today, going to Burke, I've got a clinical teacher. I've got a pre-conference with her today, so I'll be out there with her. But if you ever need to meet, just make an appointment with me and I'll make sure to be here. I can also meet outside of those hours, like if you could only meet late or on a Saturday or whatever, we'll make sure I'll make sure to make some time for you, so just let me know. On the next slide is just an introduction to me. Those are my kiddos, my 3 little boys and my dog. They take up the majority of my time outside of work. Before I came to Midwestern, I taught pre-K and kindergarten bilingual in Richardson ISD and in Dallas ISD, and I really loved both of those places over the Metroplex, but we have family here, and so it's just easier when you're raising children to be around family. And I am an alumni from MSU. Yay, go Mustangs! There's a little Mustang. And it feels like a million years ago now that I graduated from here with my bachelor's degree in bilingual education, early childhood. And then my master's is from SMU in the Dallas area, and it's in bilingual education. My doctorate is from the University of North Texas in Denton, and it's in early childhood studies. So my background is really with like little ones, and then but also with bilingual and ESL multicultural education. And so I've had a lot of time spent studying linguistics and language, and so this is just right in my area of expertise. So hopefully you'll get to learn quite a bit from me from this course, and enjoy it, and just kind of, I mean, it really is very beneficial because most of you all seem to want to go into education. I know some are education majors, some are BAAS, and some are thinking going into teaching, and some are thinking, well, maybe I'll like be an operating like manager at a learning center or something like that. So people have some different ambitions that they'd like to do, but as you'll find out later in this video and looking at the PowerPoint, you will definitely have more experiences working with English language learners all over the state in whatever form of education of the education field that you end up working in. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see our major assignments. So you've already completed the reading summary reflection paper. It was pretty self-explanatory. You just had to read the PDF over the course of like 2 weeks. I gave you guys like 2 weeks to read the PDF, and the chapters are pretty short. So you read 3 chapters 1 week, 3 the next, and then just kind of give you a summary about what you read, what you thought about it. Excuse me, things you disagreed with, things you had questions still about. And so be looking for feedback on those. I'll always post feedback along with your grade. Then we've got the multicultural book project that's due at the very, very, very end of the semester. And it is a presentation once you've found your multicultural book. It is a presentation on that book, and you can look to that particular module for like the rubric, and but there's not a paper or anything that goes along with it. And one of the decisions we made in class was to let people choose whether they wanted to make that presentation in class. So some people are going to bring their presentation to class and do it in class, and then some would like to do it online, and so we're going to make that an option as well, where you like post a PowerPoint with voiceover or something like that, and then that'll work for that. Or maybe we'll use Flipgrid, I'm not sure. I'll post later on it as we get more into the semester of the specifics of if you choose to turn that in through D2L, like how we'll do that. I've done it both ways, so just kind of see what people are more interested in doing. And then your ELL portfolio kind of makes up the majority of the assignments in the course. So it's split up into 4 parts. So the first part, you're going to take a look at law. You're looking at the English language proficiency standards that's set by this Texas Education Agency. And then you're going to be looking at the Chapter 89 and Section 29 of the Texas Education Code and Texas Administrative Code, and what those say that, you know, teachers and schools like have to be doing in terms of English language learners, and how to support them. And then you'll take quizzes through D2L. Then the second part, you're going to be looking at strategies and kind of like what are best practices when working with English language learners. And so you'll go there, and there are resources in that PDF that you're able to like click on. You can also use your text as a resource, and so you're going to find 10 strategies, explain a little bit about them, what they're called, and where you found them, and then you will also give kind of a rationale, like why would this strategy be beneficial for English language learners. Then in part 3 of the portfolio, you're going to use 3 of those strategies, and you're going to write a lesson plan, preferably for the grade area that you want to teach. So if you're an EC6 major, you're going to write somewhere in elementary school, you're going to write a lesson plan. So you're going to use the TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, which are state standards, and also the ELPS, which are our state standards for language, and you're going to write a lesson plan. And then you'll use 3 of the 10 strategies that you found in part 2 to help in that lesson that you think, oh, I think these would work really well in this particular lesson to be a support for English language learners that could possibly be in your classroom. And then part 4 of the portfolio, you're going to create a video of you using one of the strategies that you found. You can use it with an English language learner if you have like access to students. You can do it with a friend, with a parent, with a partner, anybody, anyone, because you're not really going to be showing them, you're just going to be showing you using the strategy, and then you're going to answer reflection questions about using that particular strategy. And then and that's it for the portfolio. The other things are chapter assignments, activities, so just make sure to keep up with those, like the IRIS modules, so you guys did great on those. And then the ESL supplemental practice exam is something that you'll take. So if you're an education major, you actually need to take that. So you're going to take that exam. And then if you're not an education major, if you're like BAAS, then you have the option of taking it, which I would recommend if you're thinking about going into teaching, or you can do the research paper option. It's up to you, whatever you would like. But I don't know if you all know, but the law changed last year. And so if you're teaching English language arts and reading in any capacity, so that's self-contained classrooms, pre-K, K, 1, 2, or if you're just a language arts like reading teacher in 3rd grade all the way up to 12th, then you have to have the ESL supplemental, the ESL supplemental added on to your teaching certificate. And so just to be able to get a job, you're going to actually have to take the real version of this test. So it's good to have that practice one under your belt. So now we can get into the good stuff. Now that we got kind of housekeeping things over. Oh, and also we decided to meet 3 times instead of 4, so we'll just have 2 more class meetings, and I will post those on D2L in the news section of when Wichita Falls and when Flower Mound decided that it would work better for them to meet. And I'm so sorry, Anna, our Bridgeport person. I wish I had a big group where I was able to like head out there, so I want to apologize personally to you that I'm not able to go out and meet with you. So everything will be online for you, but I'll try to make all the information just the same as if I was you were in class with me. So all right. So this next slide, slide 5, is who are ELLs? So who are English language learners? Well, in education, we love our acronyms. And so there are a lot to describe this particular group of students. So you'll see all of these names: language minority student, LEP, ELL, SLL, EB, CLD. And so typically you'll hear English language learner now. Emergent bilingual, culturally and linguistically diverse students are kind of more acceptable terms that you'll hear people using more often. And I think in the next 5-10 years, I think those will kind of be the more terms that are used more than ELL and SLL. LEP, we don't use anymore because we don't want to call kids limited. It's not very PC, right? And so, but you'll see it in all the paperwork. So when you're in schools, you'll see kids like coded as LEP because like they're not going to go in and like change all this paperwork and legislation and stuff just because it's not PC. So that terminology is still used a little bit, but it's not, going into there. If you'll click the link on this slide, you will get to see the 2018-2019 school year's demographic data for the whole state. And so it's very interesting because you can see there we have a little over 5 million students, 5.4, a little over that. And over half of those students are Latinx. So we have students, we have a majority state. And so that's something that that's tipped over in the past like 5 years for the state of Texas in terms of our pre-K-12 population. And then something else that's interesting to note on the right hand side of that same page where it's talking about the demographic trends for that school year are the numbers of students that are receiving bilingual and ESL services is a little over 1 million. So about 1/5 of the students pre-K all the way to 12th grade are receiving bilingual and ESL services. So they're coming from homes speaking languages other than English. That's a lot. That's like, if there's 20 kids in the classroom, maybe 5 or more are going to be coming from homes speaking languages other than English. And, we as teachers have to be prepared to make sure that, and it's our job to make sure, one, that they're, learning and taking in English, but also that they are learning the content. And how do we do that if they don't understand us? And so that's kind of what this course is all about. If you'll go to the next slide, slide 6, it's just kind of talking about some new generational demographic trends that are happening, so you can read through that. And then on the last part of that, where it's talking about undocumented students and parents, that goes on to the next slide, where slide 7, where it's talking about Plyer versus Dose. It's important to know that court case and what the effects of that legislation kind of has on us in schools. And so it basically said, they ruled that undocumented children and young adults have the same right to attend public schools as do U.S. citizens, and actually they're required to by law. And so we can't like deny admission to students because of undocumented status. We can't require social security numbers from all students because it might expose the undocumented status of other students. And so all of that's like kind of important to just be aware of. And if you'll watch the video down at the bottom, you'll see a video about a student and his experiences in schools, kind of what his teachers and principal and superintendent were like able to do for him, and just kind of gives you something to think about that you may have not before, that you might be dealing with some of these issues in your classroom. So if you'll go to slide 8, it says, what is language proficiency? And it talks a little bit about, gives you a definition for proficiency and talks about BICS and CALP. And then actually slides 8, 9, and 10, I'll talk about it because it's very important. So remember, basic interpersonal communication skills, cognitive academic language proficiency. So important to be aware of both of those and understand that just language takes time. It takes time to learn, it takes time to develop, and that social language can develop very quickly. You know, sometimes kids even like 6 months to a year can get the social language. Hey, how are you? Can I go to the bathroom? What's your favorite color? What is your family like to do? I love this movie. What movies do you like? As opposed to the academic language that you need to be successful in school, which can take quite a long time, you know, 5 to 7 years, and sometimes 7 to 10 years if they haven't had strong foundation in their native language. And so so important to really have a good understanding of those. On slide 9, there is a video to watch that'll help explain more about BICS and CALP. And on 10, it gives you some examples of what a student might be able to do or say, like A, B, and C with BICS, and then D and E with CALP. And you could even try, you know, saying some of those things like in a language you may have learned in high school, and then you can understand, oh, okay, I see where that difference is and why that academic language is so important to know and understand, so that they could be successful in school. So if you'll go down to slide 11, this gives an introduction to language systems. So make sure to go over and really understand this in your book. These are universal concepts, but it changes from language to language. So for example, phonology, English is not very phonetic. We have 44 sounds and only 27 letters, so it doesn't really match up because we've got all of these things like diphthongs and blends, and so R's and digraphs, and it's a lot. So our language kind of changes. Or syntax can change. So like the rules that govern the formation of phrases and sentences, for example, for English and Spanish, where you put the noun and the adjective in a sentence is reversed, you know, and so in one language and then in the other way in the other. And so those are just a couple of examples of that. So it's important to be aware of these language systems so that you can understand, oh, okay, they're having an issue with phonology, or they're having an issue, a syntax issue, or a semantics issue, and need vocabulary instruction, whatever that happens to be. So if you'll go to slide 12, you'll see the different program models that are available for English language learners. So on the left-hand side are the English programs, on the right-hand side are the bilingual programs. And so with the ESL programs, those are usually just straight English. And so there's ESL pullout, where students are pulled out of the classroom for about 45 minutes a day or every other day, kind of whatever the school district is able to do. And they get like strict intensive English instruction during that time, or they're pulled out and like get help with like the content that they're learning in their classrooms. It's proven not very effective, and so some schools still do this practice. But anyway, sheltered instruction has actually been proven to be more effective for English language learners. And we're going to be focusing on the SIOP model, the Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol. And so the lesson plans that you all will be writing are actually based off of this model, where you teach the content area like you're teaching your math lesson, but at the same time you're teaching language skills and concepts to that student, like listening skills, speaking skills, reading and writing skills, while they're in the classroom. So they stay in the class, they don't miss the content, and they're also learning language skills. Then on the right-hand side are bilingual education models. There's transitional bilingual education, where we start the students off with a little bit of their native language, but we teach them English and get them mainstreamed in the English classroom as quickly as possible. That's really actually not a very effective model of bilingual ed, but it's still done. Then dual language models are really the most effective model that we've seen in huge, big longitudinal research studies for years and years and years. We've seen that these are very successful. So there's one-way, two-way, and immersion programs. So in a one-way dual language program, all of the students are from the same language minority background. Let's just say Spanish, since that's kind of what's the biggest language in our state that we see outside of English. And so the students all come from Spanish-speaking homes, and they're learning in Spanish and in English together through school. Then in a two-way program, half of the students in the classroom are from the language minority, and then half of the students are from English-speaking homes, whether they're African American or Anglo or Latinx or Asian, whatever. They are from English-speaking homes, and so it's half and half, and then they learn in both languages together. Then there's immersion programs, where it's half and half, kind of like split like the two-way program, but instead of it being taught the class being taught half the time in the student's native language and then in English, it's all in the minority language, and then English is brought in later on. And so the kids who speak English are immersed into the minority language, is what immersion comes from. And we won't see very many of those in Texas. It's more popular in like Canada and California. And I'll actually show you what an immersion program looks like here at the end of this PowerPoint. These are video that you're able to go look and see. So if you go to the next slide, slide 13, you'll see our state law. So it says that if we have, everyone has to have, I mean, this is federal law. If you have English language learners, you have to have some type of program that helps them to learn English and make the content comprehensible for them. I mean, you have to do that. Now, our state says if you have 20 or more students across the same grade level, same school district, then you are required to offer a bilingual program in their native language. And so for us, we have tons of Spanish bilingual programs. We have several Vietnamese bilingual programs. We have some Mandarin Chinese programs. We have Arabic bilingual programs, because those are the where we've got big pockets of those particular populations throughout the state, where we are able to have the numbers to offer bilingual education programs. Then on the next slide, slide 14, is talking about teacher qualifications. So you guys have to take a lot of tests. You're super qualified. So if you're going to work with ESL students right now, you've got to take 3 tests. In the future, you're going to have to take 4 tests. And bilingual teachers take 4 tests right now, and in the future are going to have to take 5. And I mean future, like January 2021, when they're changing, the Texas Education Agency is changing the testing. So fun. Hopefully graduating before then and or around that time, where you'll be able to take all the old tests. And then slide 15 talks about language acquisition theories. If you'll click on that link, it goes into Krashen's monitor model, where you'll see his 5 hypotheses. Many of these well, all of these are really critical to language acquisition, so it's important to understand all of them. So make sure to watch that video and then also read about him and his language acquisition theories and hypotheses in your book. And then there's also a little bit about like the nativist theory, behaviorist theory in there as well. Then slide 16, you'll see the bilingual teacher and teacher effectiveness and ESL teacher effectiveness, just things to be aware of. And then slide 17, I've got instructions there for you where you're able to go and go through the MSU website to go to Canopy. And in Canopy, you're able to access a video called Speaking in Tongues, and it gives you an insight, and it follows 4 kids that are in dual language immersion programs in San Francisco. And so you kind of get to see what that looks like. So there it is. Thank you for being so patient, and I will definitely just go this way next time and get the videos up quicker. And then I'll also post the dates for our next meetings. Thank you.